All right, how we doing? I got another birdcast coming down the pike here. I've got some notes as far as the podcast goes. I've told myself work on not being so fidgety on the podcast. Because when I watch it, I'm like adjusting the microphone and doing all this shit. It's not very great to watch. So I'm going to try this out again. See, I have it's like I used to have OCD, you know. I did have sort of an OCD when I was younger, obsessive compulsive disorder, and I kind of grew out of it. Really what I did was I just smoked a lot of marijuana or cannabis, and it kind of reprogrammed my brain to not be so worried about little persnickety shit like that is like crazy, you know. Like you see with obsessive compulsive disorder, that my big thing was I used to be obsessed with the position of, I had like a movie collection, you know, and then back then it was VHS movies. So I had what did I have? I had a lot of VHS movies in those like old towers, you know. I used to have like a CD tower, but I had like a VHS tower. And they made them for DVDs too. So, but this was pre-DVD. So this was, I'm going to say late 90s, early 2000s. And I used to keep the row of the VHSs. I used to have to keep them perfectly in line because there was there was room for shifting on either side of the VHS, and it was it could be like all jangly going down, you know. So I had to make sure that all of the VHS tapes were in a perfect line with the. It's kind of interesting when like I'm moving my hand right to the right, but on the screen it's going to the left. And I think when it's broadcast, it becomes the same. So if I'm like, this is the right side of my face. On the screen, it looks like the left side of my face. So anyway, so I had this OCD, and it's crazy thoughts, you know. You have these crazy thoughts, and it's like, if I didn't make it up the stairs, and this was pre VHS line era. This is when I was a little kid. I remember being in like elementary school, and then I'm thinking, as I'm running up the stairs from our basement to our first level when I was in like my childhood home, I used to think if I didn't make it up the stairs in 8 seconds that my mom would die. Okay? So, a little f***ed up from an early age, you know. And I was talking to somebody about how it's interesting that the OCD kind of stuff always seems to hinge on 8, the number 8, or divisors or multipliers of it. Like people do, like when they talk about OCD rituals, they're in 4s or 8s or 12s or 16s. I think it is. I don't know. It was for me. It was always like 8 was kind of a magic number. You know, I mean, what is 8 really? But wait, let me see if I can do the infinity, right? See, if I want to do an infinity symbol, I have to look at my hand and do it and not look at the screen. Because if I look at the screen, well, now that I know the muscle memory of doing it, I can do it. But so I used to be kind of OCD, so like I'm fidgety, and I realized that from the recording. I'm watching the recording. It's like, man, would you stop? See, and I'm scratching myself. I mean, I do have like bug bites on my legs. In Florida, they're called no-see-ums. They're not like in Michigan where you have mosquitoes. We have biting gnats, which I feel like are kind of like fleas that can fly. They're like flying fleas, essentially. They call them biting gnats, but it feels more like, because I've had flea bites on me before, and they're very itchy, and they are very not comfortable. So I wind up with all these bites on my legs from going outside or riding my bike. But I'm in Florida because that's what's around, is the biting gnats, or the no-see-ums, which means you can't see them, you no-see them, ha ha ha. But I don't know what they really are as far as like what kind of insect they are, But anywho, I don't have any time limit on this one because I'm just recording into Ecamm Live, which in the future I can go live, but I only have like 6 subscribers, so it doesn't really matter. Speaking of that, like, comment, but really don't even like or comment. I mean, you can comment if you want, but the key to building a channel is subscribers. So if you're seeing this video for some reason, subscribe to the channel, and then if the next video that comes out that I make you don't like, then you can get off of it. But if you're even remotely interested in what I'm saying during this podcast, then subscribe, and then share it to your friends, even if you want to be like, hey, this guy's a douche, fruit weasel, or whatever you want to call me. Like, go for it. But make sure you share it to people, and then you tell them that. Like, this guy's a fruit weasel. This bird watcher, who the does he think he is? Apparently he's drunk, but he only drinks White Claw, which this episode is sponsored by Tangerine White Claw. Okay? Not at all, but it also is. It was kind of like the last podcast was sponsored by Pineapple Fanta. I don't even have any more Pineapple Fanta, and we were never sponsored by Pineapple Fanta, even though it is delicious. And if they offered a sponsorship to this podcast, I would completely accept it and take their money and a lifetime supply of Pineapple Fanta, because if you mix it with vodka or even like white wine, and sometimes I'll do all 3, it's good. It's really good. Pineapple Fanta is one of the best drink mixers I've ever had. Probably not hard to find in the north, or probably is hard to find in the north. It's another thing is that I burp like, Rick and Morty, like Rick, because I drink a lot on my free time, and I do it responsibly, but it makes you burp. White Claws make you burp, beer makes you burp, and Pineapple Fanta makes you burp. So anyway, a lot of this podcast is me just trying to talk about things sort of freeform, but also hold my train of thought, which you whiteboarded out does have starts here, digresses here, talks about here for a little while, comes back to this stream from where we started. Okay, we're going to come back here, we're going to get to this point. Now from this point, we're going to branch off to about here. Boom. It's going to come back to this stream. It's going to go back up here. It's going to touch on our original point, and then it's going to go down to a third point. It's kind of like the, what do you call it? The Kabbalah tree, which I don't even know anything about Kabbalah. Side note, if you guys do know anything about Kabbalah, there was a guy who was talking about how Twin Peaks, which is my favorite show of all time, is based on Kabbalah. And he broke it down in a video, and I didn't watch it because it was kind of boring, but also because I don't want the whole mystery of Twin Peaks to be broken down into some sort of religious framework, because then it would ruin the mystery of it for me, you know. So there's 2 branches there. Okay, now we've got a new topic. We've got Twin Peaks. And then we've got, see, I'm way too lazy to actually do the graphics, so I'm just going to point here. Like, let's say, if we're looking at my poster here. So here's Twin Peaks. No, I like this better. Okay, so here's a module right here, which is Twin Peaks. Now, off of Twin Peaks, we're going to branch into, man, this is hard. It's like a weather forecaster. You got it there. See, if I look at it that way, and I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's our module, Twin Peaks, all right? So branching off that way to this module, and I'm going to be like, you know, a little horsey man till I get it like that. Okay, from Twin Peaks to this module, I need to get like a whiteboard, but is 1 point, and then off of Twin Peaks to the other module, which is like right around here. Okay, it's going to be another point, but so the first point off of Twin Peaks is here, and it's going to be this. So I was talking to my friend about how mystery is story. Okay. Ooh. I never really put that together, but it doesn't quite work because mystery is M-Y-S-T. Mystery. There's a mystery. Mystery. So that actually doesn't work at all. But it's going to be somewhat based on that, because I'm going to Google how to spell mystery, because I think mystery. Yeah. So it doesn't have story in it at all. But if you wanted to get cheeky about it and make a t-shirt out of it, mystery is my story. That's lame as f***, but here we go. That's lame as butt f***. Here we go. It isn't lame because it's true. You know, mystery is what keeps you going further into a story. Whether it's a show, whether it's a, you know, news story or whatever, it's all going to be propelled by a sense of mystery or suspense. But really it's mystery, because mystery is what? Not knowing, okay? But it's also the intrigue of not knowing and the hope of discovering, right? It's really what fuels our entire lives. But if you look at it in terms of narrative stories or movies or shows, the mystery has to be there, or else the story kind of goes away, or your interest in that story is going to kind of go away. Case in point, going back to Twin Peaks, Module 1, down to Module 2, conversation with my friend about it, okay? Well, back up to Twin Peaks, what it was is in the first season, they gave up the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer. That was, if you go back, I mean, that was some really, really good marketing. And it really, I mean, the show of Twin Peaks did influence a lot of other shows. It actually arguably created the HBO Renaissance and 6 Feet Under, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Well, Curb Your Enthusiasm was linked to Seinfeld, but 6 Feet Under, The Sopranos, you know, all those kind of shows. But it was also like further back, it was like Northern Exposure, Wild Palms, I think was kind of something that Oliver Stone tried to do to like cash in on the mystique of Twin Peaks. But Twin Peaks was very, very ahead of its time. And in a way, on a network, which originally was on like, it debuted on like ABC. I think it was ABC, you know. And if you watch that show, it's like, holy shit, man. If you think about ABC in the 90s and then you put that show on it, I mean, people's fucking heads were exploding. You go into the Black Lodge scenes and, you know, all that stuff. I mean, people, it was like probably like the first time they saw The Exorcist, you know, like in movie theaters, people were like throwing up and running out of the theater, you know. And then you've got, you know, some middle-aged couple in Iowa sitting down to ABC primetime television and watching, you know, episode 2 of Twin Peaks where they go into the fucking Black Lodge and you got a midget walking backwards but forwards talking about prophetic code language alluding to the murder of a 17-year-old girl. I mean, it's like crazy shit. So, oh man, these no-see-em bites are brutal. They don't go away is the problem. I mean, like you can't itch them, but like you can't help but itch them. They're really rough. So, but once you give up the mystery, the story goes away for you, you know. So in the end of season 1 of Twin Peaks, they reveal that the murderer of Laura Palmer was her father. Now it does get more mysterious because it brings in the idea that it wasn't her father. He was demonically possessed by an entity called Bob, which the whole story of that is even more crazy for people who don't know Twin Peaks. But it's, I mean, it brings in so much stuff that, like, you know, you could kind of trace like Blair Witch back to it. You could trace like Slender Man, all that kind of stuff where it's like there's this mystery. And, you know, it's delicious and scary and disturbing and eerie and funny and, you know, romantic, and it's just everything all thrown into one, you know. I call the first episode kind of like a haunted soap opera. But, you know, I remember seeing it's like written in, you know, lipstick on a mirror, you know, who killed Laura Palmer. That was the whole, like, original ad for Twin Peaks, you know. I think they had, like, billboards of it. I remember seeing it, as a matter of fact. I think. It's hard to tell when you have, like, memories and you think pretty sure you remember seeing a billboard with lipstick on it that says, who killed Laura Palmer, but you're not quite sure at the same time. But pretty sure I saw it. I know I saw it on TV. I know I saw it in like magazines and different commercials and stuff. It was just this sort of stark, and it kind of predated that script style that became popular in, I don't know, 04 maybe, you know. I mean, the early 2000s, but kind of the latter part of the 2000s to 2010s, you know. So like maybe like 04, 05, 06, you started seeing that brush script, you know. It's something that came out of also of indie rock album covers, and, you know, if you look at like Pavement, you know, kind of album covers or stuff like that, it's been going on in indie rock and punk covers and art for ages. But as far as it bleeding into the popular culture, it was kind of brought in by that, you know. It was that hand-drawn kind of thing, but in this case it was alluding to who killed Laura Palmer. You know, you see that written in lipstick on a billboard, you're like, You know, especially you're like in Iowa, you know, and you're driving down the street like, yeah, we're getting some eggnog from the reindeer man or whatever, you know, and not to talk down on people in Iowa, but I don't really know what the culture is, but I feel like they're probably getting eggnog from the reindeer man, and they're driving down some desolate county highway road, and then all of a sudden there's a, what in the hell is the... Who killed Laura Palmer? Isn't that gal that works at the dime store? You know. And then they tune in to Twin Peaks. And a lot of people probably turned it off, you know. A lot of people put their kids to bed, or they're, you know, even told their spouse to like go in the other room while they watched it, but they were like, what the hell is this? I need more. You know, and if you suspend judgment on something, you know, if you suspend, and it's interesting that falls into, you know, like a court case, like a judgment. When judgment is suspended on something, when the jury is out, that brings a mystery, you know. And that keeps people paying attention. It's the ultimate marketing tool in any sense. They say sex sells. They say, you know, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different marketing tools at hand, but, you know, images of wealth or things that people need, things that people desire. It all gets broken down, but really what sells the most, I think, is mystery. And that's what drives a story. That's what drives a excuse me. It's just allergies, don't worry. That's what drives people's attention. Mystery drives people's attention. So with that, I'm going to take a little break. This is going to be, I'm at 22 minutes here. This is going to be a little intermission to the podcast. All right, so we're back from intermission. I've got a new drink. I've got a vodka Mountain Dew with a splash of club soda. So that's what I do. If you put a little club soda in there, it cuts the sweet of the Mountain Dew. These are all Floridian drinks, though. I mean, pineapple Fanta, Mountain Dew, 311. These are all things you do when you're in Florida. And I can't necessarily recommend it for my people up north who are still remaining and haven't checked yourself into some sort of gulag. But so this is almost done. I've also got a Sierra Nevada on deck, which I'm gonna have to grab. But if you guys are still watching this video out there, whoever you are, if you're still watching this video 23 minutes in, subscribe to my channel, Drunken Birdwatcher. Share the video with friends or family or whoever and be like, hey, this guy's a freaking fruit weasel and we gotta just make fun of him or whatever, you know. I mean, that seems to be the theme with a lot of videos that make it big. Like I was just watching Electro Boom videos on YouTube and he's got millions of subscribers. Mainly because he made a electric guitar out of 4 pieces of wire and then he plugged it into a 120 volt wall outlet and went 1, 2, 3 and hit it. See, but the thing that people don't get about that guy is that he knows what he's doing enough to not get killed. He probably limited it to where it's not taking the full, you know, 120 coming out of your wall and then touched it with the wires, or he knew that if he touched it, it would just like flash and it wouldn't kill him. But that guy knows what he's doing. Trust me. Electro Boom knows what he's doing. Point being, he and a lot of other YouTubers make it by being ridiculed or seem to be dumb or less than somehow, and people share that and go, ha ha ha, look at this idiot. So share this if you want to just be like, ha ha, look at this idiot, or fruit weasel, or whatever I am. And then you can feel better than me. But if you subscribe and share, then you can feel better than me. And that'll be my payment to you for subscribing and sharing. Because it'll be a dependable channel that you can go back to and look at someone and go, ha! I'm better than him. So, anyway, so we're going to go back and we're going to listen to the one Google call that I've gotten. I posted on my Drunken Birdwatcher Facebook, which you also, if you'd like to like it, I posted the Google number on there, and then I'll post it, down here somewhere, where you can call in, and by the next podcast, I will have listened to it, and then I will respond to you talking to me, or asking me a question, or calling me a freak, or whatever you want to call me. All right, so here we go. I'm going to play this one.
A. Play the Chant of the Ever-Circling Skeletal Family by David Bowie. It's on his Diamond Dogs album. B. Since I don't know you and I don't recognize the number, I'm wondering why you called my number at 7:08 this evening. If you have caller ID, you have the option to call me back up until midnight. Or at another time.
Okay, so whoa. There was a key point there at the end where it sounded like he was either running or like hitting himself in the chest while talking. I don't know. That was a little freaky. And I'm telling you the honest to God truth, that was a random call to my Google phone, because of course I'm not going to give out my actual phone number to you freaks on the internet. But I did make a Google number, and apparently someone called that guy from that Google number at 7:08 in the PM, or whatever the hell he said. I just realized I forgot to put a timer on my tater tots. Be right back. 10 minutes left? Oh no, 10 for a minute. Okay. So I'm going to pause that. Resume. Now that guy, he almost sounds like he would have been a friend of mine back in Detroit. Because what he requested was song off of Diamond Dogs. Which I'm going to see if I can play right now. It's called The Chant of the Ever-Circling Skeletal Family by David Bowie. Okay. I believe this is the last song on Diamond Dogs. Thankfully, this is a 2-minute song. Not that it's bad, but I just don't want to play too much of a song. I'll probably get dinged if I don't know if David Bowie is copyright, or David Bowie's estate, as they say, is a copyright blocker. I did listen to this before, and I've heard this before, but there's a point at the end of this. And then it fades out. Bruh, 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 bruh. That's like... if you were to slow that down, it would almost be like that bruh, bruh, bruh. Like the bruh alert, you know? BRUH. Maybe I'll slow it down and then we'll analyze that. But it's very interesting that someone called my Google phone and suggested that David Bowie song, which is called The Chant of the Ever-Circling Skeletal Family. And apparently my Google number called him. I don't know. That sounds like somebody I might have known in Detroit that just saw my Facebook post and then sent that, because it just, the David Bowie, the kind of bizarre sense of humor it would take to link me back to that. I don't know. And dude, if you're out there and you somehow see this video, please contact me and or comment or whatever, because I'm very interested in your thought process as to why you picked that song. But it was extremely entertaining, and going back to our original theme, it's mysterious, okay? And it makes me interested in whatever the hell thought process you were on when you decided to send that to me, because that is mysterious. The whole thing's a mystery. The fact that you said I called you, the fact that you referenced a deeply obscure track that has mildly threatening undertones to the song title, and also the fact that I just love the bruh, like BRUH meme and or video where there's like bruh alert and that kind of stuff. Casey would know all about that. I don't know if Casey watches this anymore. If you do, bud, miss you, bud. And thanks for watching. Shoot me a meme. I mean, there's a lot of people I just communicate with using memes, you know. It's like a good way to kind of stay in touch with your old friends while not necessarily having to make small talk about how things have been. You can just send somebody a meme or a video that kind of encapsulates where your head's at concerning world matters, and you guys can just kind of share an LOL and then go on about your day. But it's just a way of saying, hey, fucker, I remember you're alive and here's a meme for you. Yeah. So I had to go with the Sierra Nevada this time because my friend John Spurrier is a nut about the Sierra Nevada, and I was just watching his podcast of sorts called Spurzo's Lair, which is really good. And I mean, it's, you know, I hate to say it, John, but production-wise, you could do a little better. I mean, it does help to have like a mic and a little better sound, because when you're just recording off your phone to Facebook Live, excuse me, it's not, get a bubble in your throat. It's not like something people would want to watch. Now, is this something people would want to watch? Probably not. But if you are watching, don't forget to subscribe and share. So anyway, going forward, I will do more of that kind of thing where I have a number up on my Facebook. So that'll lead you to my Facebook for the Drunken Birdwatcher. And there's a number. I'm going to pin it to the top of the Facebook page for the Drunken Birdwatcher. And I'll have a number there. And if you want to ask me a question or tell me an obscure song reference or just tell me that I'm a fucking weasel or whatever you want to tell me, you can do it through that hotline. It's called the Drunken Birdwatcher Hotline. It's a Google number. And I will respond to that probably. Okay. So now I got some tater tots in the oven and I got my laundry in the dryer and we're going back to the notes here because I'm my own showrunner. I'm my own drink getter and these shows don't run themselves, people. All right, you got to do it. If you want your own show, it's kind of like how people say making techno is easy. Give it a shot. So here we go. Crust punks. I think we can skip that for now. Bird species, go out and explore with a field guide. I don't even remember writing that. Work on not being so fidgety in the podcast. Okay, I think I've done a little better on this episode on that front. Google voice calls. And then it just says, feel it out when we get there. Okay. Let me try to remember where my mind was at when I wrote that. Feel it out when we get there. Feel it out when we get there.
Bruh.
I kind of had a glimpse of what I might have meant in that it's like you just do stuff and then you feel it out when we get there. Okay, that gives me really very little to work with. Okay, so I'm going to follow... damn it. Oh.
Bruh.
That's just a side note. I will say it's very critical that you get tinted windows on your driver and passenger side in the front, because I just did that on my new car and it is great. People are very snoopy nowadays, and it just feels like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just feels like every time I look over when I'm in traffic, people are f***ing staring at me if I don't have tints on my front windows. So if I do have tints, then they can't see me and they look away. It's really great. It is just like a protective blanket from what they call the malocchio, the Italian culture, or like Joey Diaz calls it, the Malouk eye. And Sebastian Maniscalco was talking about it as well in one of his specials. It's when somebody's staring at you, and there is something to that. It's kind of like the old-fashioned, hey, what are you looking at? you. What are you looking at? What are you looking at me for? You know, oh, I'm not looking at much. And then you fucking duke it out or whatever. But there's something to looking or staring at someone. And there's a lot of people, it seems nowadays, that were never told when they were younger that staring at someone is rude. You know, that's what I was always told. Oh, don't stare. Don't stare. Don't stare at that person. You know, what are you doing? And it was usually like somebody who's handicapped, but when I was a kid. But it's like, it's just generally not polite or comfortable to stare at somebody. And I find that a lot of people in modern society, they just stare at each other, you know. And maybe it's just an element of the matrix that I have to deal with, but I get it a lot. So it's nice to have the tinted windows because it kind of protects you from being stared at. But, you know, there's more to it than that. I think it was, you know, that whole book and movie about it, and it really seems to be kind of the root of quantum physics too, in a way, is that when you observe something, it changes it. You know, and I feel that often when I'm in public. I can feel if I'm being stared at. You know, there was a book by a biologist, I think he was a biologist, and he kind of branched out into the so-called supernatural, but really what it is it's a different kind of science that gets at the, you know, what we think of as supernatural or ESP or what do you call it, psychic realms. But there is something to it. I mean, if you stare at someone, you are affecting them in a way. You know, your perception is affecting them. There's a lot more to it that I can't really describe, and it will kind of change the whole course of the podcast if I go much further. But there's definitely something to it. So get your windows tinted and get down with that shit. You feel me? So I don't know, what are we at? Another 22 minutes. I've babbled on a lot. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Like, comment. I mean, that doesn't really do much. Commenting does more. Liking, I don't know. I mean, I guess it just shows that you like it. But like if I boost post this on Facebook and I get a bunch of fucking click farm likes, it does nothing. You know, it doesn't do anything to build the channel. It doesn't do anything to spread the gospel, so to speak, of the Drunken Birdwatcher. But just subscribe to the channel if you've somehow come across this video. If you've watched it this far, because now we're at like 45 minutes. If you've watched this much of this video, you are able to tolerate me for this long, and or you enjoyed what I provided here with this video long enough to the point where you're still watching it. Subscribe to this channel, okay? And if you liked this, then you'll like the videos that we got coming out, because there's going to be more videos. And like I said, it's not just going to be me. I'm going to have some of my friends on these podcasts. I'm going to have people on Zoom calls. I'm going to have people, you know, go out with me on my field videos of the Birdwatcher, where I essentially just go out to random places with a loose concept in mind of what I want to see, and I drink, and then I see what happens. Hold on. That was my tater tots going off. So anyway, subscribe, share it. Some more videos to come. I can't say I'm going to have much more energy in the videos. I struggle with that. I struggle with being fidgety. I struggle with promoting my own videos. It's hard for me. But I think there's a spark of something going on here. that you might enjoy. It might bring a little bit of something to your day or night if you watch this or listen to it. Very gassy from the Sierra Nevada. I'm trying not to burp my way through the conclusion of this, but thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon enough.